Lightwave 8 has introduced a dynamic system into the layout. Now, what dynamics is a way of simulating the effect of physical contact and physical action with our 3D models. Now, normally with Lightwave, our objects can interpenetrate and nothing happens. There doesn't appear to be any physical contact. With dynamics, we can set it up so we create a simulation where these objects actually have physical mass, they have weight, they have springiness, they even flex, they react to forces outside of them. And that is what dynamics are. All right. The way we access these dynamic tools is through the object properties. We have our object selected, we go to properties, and we have a brand new tab called Dynamics. Over here we have Add Dynamics, and you'll see we have a number of different functions. The first three, cloth, soft, and hard, are different types of dynamic systems. As the name implies, cloth is well suited for duplicating the effects, the physical effects and properties of cloth. Soft is what's referred to as soft body dynamics, and these are generally the motions of, well, you can think of them as jello or as wobbly kind of things that will snap into place. They're kind of flexible, and hard body is not flexible at all. Everything in it is very brittle and solid. There is no deformation of the geometry. However, things get knocked about. Now, the reason there's three different types is there is some overlap, especially with the cloth, who has some of the attributes of both soft and hard dynamics. It's kind of like everything else in Lightwave. We have things that come close to simulating what happens in the real world. For instance, in our surface editor, we break down the surfaces into attributes. We have diffuse, specularity, and reflection. Now, they're broken down into three distinct elements. In the real world, they're not separate. They're all interconnected, and it's kind of the same way with dynamics. They've been simplified into a manageable level. Now, in most cases, you would never have all three elements. Most of the time, you would just have one. Now, this is the big stumbling block in using dynamics, is that you apply the dynamic and then you need to hit calculate, because it has to think about it. You may notice in here we also have emitter, wind, collision, and gravity. If those things look familiar to you, it's probably because you've seen them in the particle effects, which have been in Lightwave for quite some time. And guess what? They actually can interact with your other 3D dynamic objects. Another thing we'll be getting to later. But this is how the basic setup is for when you're dealing with dynamics with Lightwave. You have your objects, and these are our objects. We're going to set up some motion. And this is just a very simple setup, but it's what you need to know to get started. So we're going to have the box start on the right of the ball, advance to 10, and keyframe it here. Now, two things are going to happen. We need something to act as a collision object and something to be collided with. So we're going to apply both a collision and a hard body dynamic to the scene. Because as you can see, the box is just moving forward. Nothing is happening. This is what we see all the time. So the ball is going to be the thing that's affected. We want that to be like a hard body dynamic. So I'm going to my ball object. I'm simply selecting hard. Hard effects, hard body dynamics. If I scrub this, still nothing happens. Let's go to our other object, the box object, if I select hard for that, still nothing will happen. Okay, this is where a lot of people get confused. Now you may be thinking, well, I didn't hit calculate. Well, even if I hit calculate, nothing happens because they're both set to hard body dynamics. What I want is one of these to be a collision object. I'm going to remove the hard body dynamic from the box and set it to be a collision object. Now if I scrub this, still nothing happens. What the heck? I've got hard effects applied to the ball. I've got collision applied to the box. Well, it needs to think about it. It needs to calculate it. Once it is calculated, look at that. It knocks it out of the way. You can zoom around and see it from all angles. The box comes up, it hits the ball, and it goes flying off. That is the basics of how hard body dynamics work. Let's see how far that goes, about that far. We have a lot of settings, but just starting for the very basics to understand what is going on with hard body dynamics. Once again, I have the object that will be affected. I go into my object properties, I select hard effects. That's my hard body dynamic. Okay. This is the object. This is the hammer. The box is affecting it. So that is going to be set as the collision object. It is set as a collision object, and what needs to happen then, it needs to calculate that motion. I remove this. Take a look. It is still remembering the action of the calculation because it's not being calculated. If I go back and I calculate, select ball, calculate, nothing happens because I took off the collision effect. I need to put the collision property back on, and I need to recalculate. And there it goes. That is how all the dynamics operate. You apply hard effects, soft effects, or cloth effects, then you need to have something acting on it. Some of the actions, particularly like in cloth, you can apply dynamics like gravity right in the effector. But it needs to have something that will, some action, some force that will make it change. Whether it's a collision, whether it's wind, whether it's gravity. Then it needs to be calculated.